Good afternoon, peeps. We are back in Lexington, Massachusetts, having a very random, no plan kind of a day. We are going to start here at the new Lexington Depot Museum, the one that I've showed you a bunch of times that we were never able to get into. Today is the day. Beyond that, we'll just see where the day goes. It is a very dreary day. I am extremely tired, hence the Starbucks. When I went into Starbucks down the road, the guy's like, "Can I help you?" I said, "Can you fix me?" Not everyone gets my humor. He looked at me like I was a crazy lady. I mean, when I'm tired, the guy's not wrong. But I got my cinnamon dulce oat milk latte in hand. Starting to feel a little better as the magical beans kick in. We're going to check things out. Have a great history-filled day in beautiful Lexington, Mass. And this is the museum, the one that I've showed you a bunch that we watched the progress of being made. See that magical open sign? That is a good sign, and we're going to take a look. I have no idea what it's going to be like. I hope that it is not mind-bogglingly woke. We shall see. I won't get too in the weeds. If I suggest it, I'll tell you as always, and if I don't, I'll just say I don't. But we're going to see. It is part of NARM. Once again, those North American Reciprocal Museum passes that we have that I keep harping on because they are so fantastic in getting into all these wonderful places. So that is awesome. And we're going to go in and see, but I'm stalling because I'm drinking my coffee and they probably don't allow coffee in there. All right, stepped inside here, gave them our NARM pass, and we're good to go. It is not a huge museum by any means, which I knew. It is the old train depot. And, you know, we've been watching the progress and pretty exciting to finally be in here. And right off the bat here, we've got some information about that. Lexington Depot was built in 1846 with the introduction of train service to Lexington. And it looks like they've got an old spike. Some archaeological pieces here that they have dug up. This is pretty cool. Cup shards, a fork, but check this out, guys. That is an 18th century toothbrush. You were pretty ahead of the time if you were taking good care of your teeth. Of course, it didn't save General Washington and his horrible teeth and the infection that, you know, I theorize led to his eventual passing, but gosh, if they only knew. Keep brushing, boys, keep brushing. Ooh, cool. There's a musket ball that was fired by a civilian and remained lodged in Buckman Tavern until it was discovered in 1918. That's awesome. Oh my gosh, my little vintage clothing man here is telling me that that jacket today would be worth, what did you say?
Like $90K.
$90,000 because what?
Type 1 Levi's.
That's hilarious. What does type 1 mean? Like first?
Pattern.
Wow. Okay. I like how there's an English Springer Spaniel riding a horse. This area is full of beautiful architecture. That's one of the things I love. It's such a charming, Lexington and Concord, just really charming and lovely. And this talks about the different architectural styles. You got early American colonial, Greek revival, Romanesque revival, mid-century modern. That's a little more rare around here, but you do see it from time to time. Mid-century modern, very popular in Southern California, especially the neighborhood that I grew up in. Definitely some treasures in this little space, though. Hey, original published sermons by Jonas Clark, who of course lived down the street in what is now known as the Hancock Clark House. And Jonas Clark was a wonderful fixture here. He said he trained his men for such a time as this meaning the battle, and he was a huge part of the community as pastors were in the 18th century. He was part of what, you know, is sometimes known as like the Black Robe Regiment or the Fighting Parsons, a wonderful, wonderful man, and truly part of his community, true patriot through and through. Okay, this is Lexington, the natural landscape and the location define its economy. As the town has evolved alongside changes in technology and transportation, it continues to be influenced by the area's terrain, proximity to Boston, and major travel routes. The town's lack of water power limited its industrialization, but did not prevent the flourishing of specialties like fur and dairy trade. All right. I mean, when you drive around here, there's still farmland, and you can see very easily that it was very much countryside. This is really wonderful here. This musket and tricorn hat, or cocked hat as they would have been known, was owned by the same man. So, you know, just squint and time travel with me here and imagine this guy actually fought here and used these items. And that was one Hammond Reed, a member of Captain John Parker's militia. Of course, Captain Parker has the statue right outside we'll take a look at in a minute. And it was his militia group. But this is Hammond Reed's actual hat and gun as used out here on the battle green. That is pretty amazing. And prominently here in the very back of this gallery sits an Emanuel Lutz painting called The News of Lexington. Now, Emanuel Lutz, you may know his name because he painted the famous crossing of the Delaware that is in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, where Noah and I definitely need to go on another mommy-son adventure. We were at the Met Cloisters. If we had gone to the Met, just the Metropolitan Museum of Art, we would have seen Washington's Crossing, which has its own beautiful gallery in the American Art exhibit there. I've seen it, but it's been many, many years. This is the same artist, and you can see how absolutely beautifully he captures the events of the day, the ladies kind of cowering behind trees, older gal covering her ears, protecting their children, and the men have an epic battle taking place there. Pretty amazing. Signage says, in the years leading up to April 19th, 1775, tensions escalated between Britain and its American colonies over issues of taxation, military presence, and the lack of democratic representation. On the evening of April 18th, British troops advanced towards Concord to seize colonial arms, and by dawn encountered Lexington's militia on the Lexington Green. As the first shots were fired, the Battle of Lexington marked the culmination of colonial unrest and the start of the American Revolution. That is putting it wonderfully, kind of in a nutshell for you there as a refresher. When the smoke cleared after the battle, Lexington, 8 men lay dead and 10 were wounded. As British troops withdrew to Boston, they looted and burned homes along Lexington's main road. Despite the devastation, the town rallied support for the revolutionary cause, both in battle and in the home front. In 1799, Lexington honored its fallen with one of the earliest Revolutionary War monuments. To this day, the town continues to honor and preserve its revolutionary legacy, and hence, that is why I keep coming back to continue to enjoy the way that they tell the story kind of over and over again, but in different ways. And here we've got the granddaddy of them all. I have told you, I feel like you could definitely say without blinking that we are all just living in or near John Hancock's Massachusetts, if not John Hancock's United States, because he is so much part of the reason why any of us are even here. This man gave everything, physically, financially, emotionally, to the cause, risked it all. His life was on the line, could have easily been martyred for all of this. Let's look at this waistcoat. I mean, he was known to be a very, very particular, snappy, fine dresser. He liked the best, and why shouldn't he have the best? And the man actually wore this. Pointing out, you can actually see sweat stains there. Yeah, I mean, think about how humid it is in New England. He was probably sweating it out, thinking about the British and all of the horrible things to come and all of the stress. So you bet John Hancock had pit stains. Another look there at his very famous autograph, mostly famous because it is very prominent at the bottom of the Declaration of Independence. And for a while, his was the only one on that until everyone else came and signed. So Noah's saying that this is interesting because there's a photo of a guy there protesting the Vietnam War on the Lexington Green. But he's got his full
uniform. He has his gun even.
And what else?
His helmet, his jacket, his radio.
And that is unusual because it's
kind
like
of strange.
Yeah, because it's like he's ready to go, but like he's here in Lexington. And this uniform is what now?
It's World War I, but it's like after.
Okay.
This guy was a World War I vet though.
Yeah. This guy here.
There he is.
Yeah. That is pretty cool. I'm glad I finally saw it. The staff there, super, super nice. Very nice young man working in there, and they had some great information. There were some things that I would label as woke, but, you know, we just agreed that, you know, it's Massachusetts. It's kind of to be expected, especially in Lexington. You know, there was some balance, though. I mean, they did have a little bit of information for everybody, and I've definitely seen worse. I just chose not to show the things that I wasn't like a huge fan of. And if you don't like it, you know, you can just move on. And again, these are my opinions. Not everyone's going to share them. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. And you can choose if you're going to go look at it or not. So there's that. Say that their focus this year was kind of on activism, so that's why some of the signage was kind of more skewed that way, because it was like the theme that they chose. Has nothing to do with the people volunteering or working in there. You know, it comes from higher ups and whoever decides these things. And stuff like that's going to come up from time to time. So, yeah, is what it is. I would still recommend, because of the beautiful Lutz painting and the original musket and cocked hat, and of course John Hancock's waistcoat, which is a gem. Such a dreary day. But I'm happy it's not currently raining. It was raining on the drive over. So yeah, we were supposed to go to Hudson, and Noah was supposed to pick something up from a friend of his. A friend of his is refurbishing one of his World War II helmets, but that didn't work out. His friend had already bailed because of the rain. So we were like halfway here already. So we're like, well, let's still just, you know, go to Lexington and see where the day goes. And, you know, so we're deciding to stick with it. And we're going to go inside the library now. Noah says it's good and they have books for sale. Stepped inside the library to see. It's a good place to go to look for like inexpensive used books. Noah found this one. It's all about like collecting things featuring George Washington. I was looking across the room out of the corner of my eye and Caleb? Okay, we ended up at a book haul. I got the George Washington book, and then Noah got like 6 books on everything from the Vietnam War, World War I, and World War II. One World War II in Sicily, which is very specific, and some guy's memoirs from Vietnam, somebody who knew of. So he's excited. Got a lot of books for a good deal, so that's fun. Here's what we got. Pretty good haul. All right, here we go. Welcome back to Buckman's Tavern, just down the path. We moved the car only because it's starting to rain a little heavier. But this place saw so much lighting the day of April 19th, 1775, because the green, the famous green, is directly across the street. And so this was like ground zero, hotbed of activity on what is now known as Patriots Day. We are talking about the opening shots, first official battle, opening of the Revolutionary War, which now has passed 250 years ago. Of course, if you haven't, I highly suggest going back and watching my Patriots Day videos, as we covered a lot of it leading up to and on the days of the events. We're going to actually take you on inside. We've shown it outside a million times. Again, they're also part of NARM, so we're going to go through. It's a nice self-guided little tour. Taking it easy today, a chillaxing kind of revolutionary time. Okay, so I am a big fan of this museum system. You get this wand here, and you just press the button when you get into a certain room, and it's going to talk to us. And they gave us these tickets, again, complimentary with NARM, which is awesome.
The Lexington Historical Society welcomes you to the historic Buckman Tavern.
I wonder if that's echoing.
It's simple, John. We just saw the actual
Yeah.
ringer. Why did they move the belfry? Why didn't they just put it where it was originally?
I don't know. And yes, William Diamond, he was the youngest one out here. This was his drum. He was the drummer. Went forward, sounded the alarm, and it's pretty incredible. That is it. They did repaint it in 1875, which is kind of a shame in a way, but the physical drum itself is original to the Battle of Lexington.
Yeah.
Noah said that's creepy, and he looks like the Hatbox Ghost from Disney. Yeah, so he's actually pretty famous. He is in that book about the last survivors of the Revolutionary War. It's very rare to actually have a photograph of people that were involved in the Rev War. But Jonathan Harrington, there he is right there, last survivor of the Battle of Lexington and Concord, and lived into the era of photography, even got a daguerreotype, and there it is. I see what you mean, no, it is creepy, but it's also amazing to actually put eyes on the eyes of a man who lived it. And short thereafter, I'm sure, died it, because he didn't look so good there. Lieutenant Colonel Francis Smith, acting under British authority, prepares 700 British soldiers to leave Boston and capture and destroy weapons in Concord. In their path lies Lexington, harboring Patriot leaders John Hancock and Samuel Adams, the most wanted men in all of Mass. My gosh, there's a Springer Spaniel in the picture. We're finding Spaniels Day. That one looks like Clarabelle. Here is a spoon belonging to Daniel and Anna Harrington. Spoon dated 1760, and I told you guys before, many women before battles, not just Lexington and Concord, but throughout the Revolutionary War, would have hid their silverware because it was an expensive prized possession. Sometimes they dug up a spot, buried them in a chest, or just put them underground and went back and undug them after the battles. And of course, Captain Parker and his men waited here in this very spot for the battle to begin at the green just across the street. And you can imagine this was their view on that fateful morning. They would have looked out in anticipation as they saw redcoats arrive on the green. It must have been crazy. And one of the docents was mentioning there is a new exhibit upstairs called Swept Up in Revolution. Pretty cool. Usually, well, I shouldn't say usually, the upstairs is not always open when they have a special exhibit it is, so it's gonna be fun to come up here and see what they've got. Noah saying that it's pretty cool. Oh, that is pretty cool. Oh, wow, interesting. This is a reproduction of a colonial uniform, but this is a reproduction from 1910. So it's an old reproduction, which you don't see that often. Okay, this is useful. In 1636, the Massachusetts Bay Colony, which is what it was, ordered that men between the ages 16 and 60 possess arms and serve in local regiments. They don't do that anymore in Massachusetts. Gotta come over to New Hampshire for that frame of mind. Anywho's. Well, this formalized militia system required that men train 4 times a year and report to duty in an alarm or emergency. These requirements were not always enforced. As tensions grew between the British and colonists, the militia system became an important tool of colonial resistance in Lexington, men ready to respond during an alarm. And this is part of an special exhibit for the 250th. Pretty neato. Oh, you guys, I could not have planned this better myself. This is amazing. Reported to have been fired in the Battle of Quebec, fought on the Plains of Abraham, which we just celebrated 250 years since the siege battle expedition to Quebec by Benedict Arnold. And look at the battle resulted in a British victory. It was a turning point in the French and Indian War. Battle is consistent with a musket ball fired from the King's arm. So crazy, because that French and Indian War, of course, the British won, tensions grew. Fast forward to the Revolutionary War, we go back to Quebec, fight on the same area, the Plains of Abraham, with Benedict Arnold. And of course, did not go our way. It was another British victory. And even though tensions were high for the French Quebecois, it just wasn't enough. And again, they continue to retain sort of that odd alliance or agreement with the British to this day, not necessarily by choice, but through these circumstances. This is not something you see every day. This is fascinating. This is an actual indenture agreement document. So, we hear a lot about indentured servants during early America. A lot of them would have been from Ireland. Younger girls came over, and this is an actual contract. In this case, it was a black man named Eli from 1759. It says indentured at the age of 4. His father, likely motivated by financial struggle or a need to procure care for his son and his mother's death, entered him into a 16-and-a-half-year-long indenture under town member Joseph Bridge. Oh, that's rough.
Couldn't patronize taverns, travel without permission, or marry.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, good thing times have changed, and that is no longer the case. And that's been cleared up. But early America was a tough place. Epic thing about this stairwell right here. This is where Paul Revere came through the door and rushed in and was like, hey, it's happening. It's on. The regulars are out. These stairs right here gives me chills every time, but I've never actually walked across them because usually it's closed from down below. So, guys, I'm walking where Paul walked. Look at this. This is so epic. don't see any signage telling that story or anything either, but I'm telling you. Okay, so that same boy, Eli, who was, put into indenture by his own father, would of course grow up into be a man. And it's confirmed that he fought at Cambridge in May. In June, his indenture ended. He later fought in the Northern Campaign in 1778, 1779, enlisted in naval services aboard Boston, but was captured and imprisoned by the British in 1780 in Charleston, South Carolina, after which his fate is unknown. Oh, talk about a life. That was rough. Poor Eli.
I was heavy with that.
Yeah, so here's the 3 possibilities of what might have happened to him. Could have gone to Nova Scotia, which is probably the best outcome. Might have died in prison in Charleston, which, sorry to tell you guys, but that in Charleston particularly, and we will be talking about that. Hey, I think we're going to go to Charleston next June, so that's going to be another awesome thing to look forward to for the Battle of Sullivan's Island. But a lot of people died in the prison there. Also, outcome, he might have been captured into slavery, which is horrible and not fair, especially considering, he always also lived as an indenture and then fought for us. I hope that's not what happened, but nobody really knows. Okay, this is crazy. Flintlock musket used at the Battle of Lexington and Concord by John Monroe. The muzzle of the musket burst during the battle, possibly from inserting 2 musket balls instead of 1. The lock plate is marked Coxon for John Coxon, who was a Boston gunmaker. It is made from imported English and locally made parts. After I had fired the first time, I retreated about 10 rods and then loaded my gun a second time with 2 balls. And on firing the British, the strength of the charge took off about a foot of my fun barrel. That is a direct quote from John Monroe, 1825. Oh my gosh. Don't mess with a Scottish Monroe. That's all I can say. Clan Monroe, fierce, and boy, we needed them here, and they continued that Highland fighting spirit over here. And of course, as we are learning, played a big part in the American story. Okay, so yes, the Monroes, prominent family in the area. The sword belonging to Edmund Monroe, who served in the French and Indian War, and he was here serving April 19, 1775, died at the Battle of Monmouth in New Jersey, which will be in a few years celebrating its 250th anniversary. I love these squeaky floors, by the way. This exhibit, honestly, is fantastic. And Noah said, this exhibit's the best part of Buckman Tavern. Noah's been to Buckman Tavern a few times in his young life, but this is very, very cool. We're gonna have to find out when this ends because I wanna make sure that we have that information for you guys so everyone has a chance to get here if you can. If you're visiting New England, definitely. I always tell people do not skip Lexington and Concord. Here's Mr. Darcy. Noah's a big Pride and Prejudice fan.
Looks like them.
Does. We should watch that tonight. Anyways, it is actually morning portrait. Okay, that is the Regency era, 1805. Hannah Simmons painted with watercolor in honor of her father, Revolutionary War veteran Joshua Simmons. Women played an important role in passing down the history of the Revolution through the creation of commemorative items. Well, I passed down the history of the Revolution by making YouTube videos. I am not going to try to paint, but that is quite lovely. Hats off to Hannah for making such a lovely memento that we are still here enjoying in 2025. There you go, Noah. Did you see? There he is, blown up. Mr. Jonathan Harrington. And Mary Sanderson. I'm a Sanderson. Grandma, is that you? I will have to ask my mom, but I don't think Grandma Sanderson looked that scary. That looks like a death photo almost. Ooh. We're asking kids here, what makes a revolution? What are some of the answers?
Live in tents and gratitude.
Okay, that's nice.
Looking out for one another.
Love like Jesus, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Oh.
Prove me wrong. Stand against oppression in all forms. Love your neighbors as yourself.
Some kid wrote, love Jesus and rad to love your dad. Some very good answers here. Gonna fill one out, little boy?
No.
I know you want to.
No.
Wow, you could spend hours in here, but we don't have hours. However, I would definitely come back and soak this all in. Now this is amazing. Shays' Rebellion. We've talked about that on this channel. After the war, the state of Massachusetts mandated residents pay taxes, which was still a short supply. This forced many farmers to sell their property in Western Mass. Farmers violently protested by closing courts, barring tax collectors on August 1786 to January 1787. And these buckskin breeches are said to have been worn by Colonel William Monroe as he marched towards Western Mass to put down Shays' Rebellion. Monroe's militia force was sent to stop the protest to form farmers and fellow farmers and war veterans. These pants bore witness to the precarious economic and political situation in the United States. I mean, there was also a whiskey rebellion going on in Pennsylvania, and these became core issues. General Washington, boy, he had one heck of a time with these rebellions. It was very upsetting to him. You know, you had to push and pull between how much freedom, you know, what does freedom mean? How free are we going to be? You still have to have law and order. You still have to pay taxes. It's, like Ben Franklin said, one of the facts of life, whether you like it or not. Most of us don't like it, but you have to have some. Anyways, it's a very interesting moment in time. One day we will go to some sites related to this, including the Springfield Armory, where Shays' Rebellion was ultimately put down. Noah admits that he was tempted to fill out the star and put that the revolution means the fight for Steve Buscemi, but he actually did fill one out and put the right and drive to fight for what is right. I like that. You watched our video from the Massachusetts Historical Society, you will get the joke about Steve Buscemi.
The Lexington Historical Society welcomes you to the historic Buckman Tavern. Centrally located on the town common, it was built in 1710 and served as a tavern for approximately 100 years. In April 1775, Buckman Tavern found its place in history as it sheltered the Lexington militia and witnessed the first battle when the Lexington had two licensed taverns in 1775, Buckman Tavern and Monroe Tavern. Men from the town gathered here between morning and afternoon Sunday services.
Not shabby. Not too shabby at all.
Welcome to the West Room. For years before the first shots of the American Revolution were fired on the common right outside these very windows, the town of Lexington defined itself as a patriot community.
Don't tell me this isn't cool. I mean, it is so easy to step back in time and imagine what it would have been like. Oh, but guys, this is the real deal. This place bore witness to an amazing moment that changed the world. It's easy to get sidetracked, but really, that is the crux of the whole thing today, as it makes this place so amazing and such a special treasure in the American psyche. And you can see that, you know, history lives on here. And that's why I highly, highly recommend, again, every American needs to come to Lexington and Concord and see this for yourselves. And in the meantime, watch that history check. There's the bottom of those steps there. See, Paul Revere came through here, ran up to where we were, and said, the regulars are out.
Welcome to the tavern, probably the most famous room in all of Lexington. It was here that a large contingent of the Lexington militia gathered in the evening of April 18th and the early morning hours of April 19th, 1775, before the historic first battle of the American Revolution unfolded on the common outside.
Seriously, look at this. I love how much of the old feel is just totally retained here. And you've done a beautiful job of preserving it. Such an iconic space. Very, very iconic historic site. I love it. For me, this never gets old. You know, and you come here and you see this and you think, okay, it's, you know, preserved historic site, but this was just their regular lives. And this was very, very real, and I think that's what makes these spaces so important. Step back and really take in and think about what these people were going through, and their lives were on the line and what they were fighting for. They were fighting for what we have today. So, you know, like the founders warned, make good use of it. Make good use of, you know, what we did for you guys and the sacrifices made and lives lost, lives like Joseph Warren, lives like Hugh Mercer, so many others, countless others who, they were called rebels, patriots. They fought because they believed in this great American idea, this great American experiment. It's amazing. You know, we've been talking a lot about great Americans. In many ways, that started here. The Declaration of Independence hadn't even been signed yet, but it was coming. Checking out the gift shop here, and hey, look at this. They have a Joseph Warren candle, and honestly, it smells like a doctor's office, which is pretty funny and fitting. Kind of a minty, clean smell there. And look at Despina. They've got your book. That is the best. You guys, people always ask me, what Rev War book should I read? Read Christian Despina's Founding Martyr. I've read it about 1,000,000 times. Never gets old. Very cool.
Oh no, it's kind of a musket. The one where
They always have cool stuff. It's kind of a gift hallway rather than a gift shop. But they do have Noah's best friend, the Marquis de Lafayette.
It actually looks like Mark Schneider.
It does. Mark Schneider is the Marquis de Lafayette. For those of you who don't know, that's our friend that we saw at the 250th special event, the Old South Meeting House. And he's the official Marquis de Lafayette in Williamsburg, Virginia. We love Mark Schneider.
And
Honestly,
Napoleon.
sometimes I'm like, you're not Mark Schneider. You're not the Marquis. That's how good he is.
our consultant there too.
That's a 250 step.
Forget they're on.
I actually did buy, but I can't tell you guys what it is because my sister watches these videos and I bought it for my sister. And if I tell you what I bought, she'll know it's for her. One last look at town and Captain Parker over there looking out past his green and his lovely Lexington, Massachusetts. That was a lot of fun. I always love visiting Buckman Tavern. Well, I think that's going to do it for our strange, derailed, little impromptu day. I think it turned out really well. I'm happy. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I never mind coming to Lexington. Anytime I have an excuse to do so, I am here. And here is the memorial to the Lexington Minutemen. Like Patrick Henry, I know no way of judging the future, but by the past. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. What's more historic than all of this? Beautiful Lexington, Massachusetts, the shots heard around the world, the place that started it all. Started really my favorite thing to talk about. I guess that's why we keep coming back. Remember, I am also on Instagram at _historychick, on Facebook at #historychick, and right here on YouTube at #historychick with more exciting content from the 18th century, first shots heard around the world, following the timeline, and all the way around. If there's history, I'm there, and I love it. And I love hanging out with you guys and bringing all of this stuff. Hopefully the story is coming alive as I share my passion for these amazing men in this amazing time in our beautiful, great, grand, incredible American history. I hope that you are all having a wonderful fall, no matter where you are in this country or around the world. So much fun hanging out with you guys. We will see you very, very soon.